Hi, welcome to my studio. We are in my art studio outside of Zurich, and I would like to talk to you about transition. As you probably all know, my life took a very different turn about 4 years ago when I had the possibility of creating a very large installation for the MAXXI Museum in Rome and for the Triennale in Milano. And this goes back very, very far, almost 35 years, when I was taking pictures of glaciers and ice caps, many, many regions in the world, but mainly in Switzerland. The first installation I talk about is the one in the MAXXI Museum in Rome. And it was a rather challenging work because the museum is built by Zaha Hadid, and the structure of the museum is very, very long, it's very wide, it's curved. I had limited possibilities to show my work because there were other exhibitions there, but I had an enormous surface of space that I was able to use. The first installation is a 3D mapping that we did of a major glacier wall that was projected along the outside of the museum. And the museum opening was planned for around 7:30 p.m. in the month of November, so we were able to count with total darkness. For the projection, the conditions were absolutely perfect. So we planned the projection for around 7:30 p.m. and you see the installation. That's a visual and sound installation of collapsing glaciers and the amount of water exiting these enormous glacier masses today. So this project became very, very instrumental in my career. For several years before, I tried to show these works to museums and galleries, and it was very difficult because I was very, very well known as a fashion and reportage photographer. It was very difficult for me to share this work the way I wanted to share it. But then, with Gerhard Steidl, I did a set of 3 books. It's called Light 1, Light 2 and Light 3, and basically it's a document of about 25 years of recording these glacier masses, and the book became very, very, very beautiful, and there is a very small introduction in the book that will explain you the project. Now going back to the museum, the second installation was a sculpture and sound installation, was shown in a very large space on the first floor of the MAXXI Annex. And the room was built almost like a cathedral. The room was totally black, and in the center of the room I created almost like a Japanese shrine of a marble sculpture. The mountain has a lot of similarities of the Matterhorn, but it's an imaginary mountain of mine. The fascinating part was we created a 3D mapping of that mountain, and with my sound engineer Maurizio Argentieri, we created an extraordinary sound installation along with the visual installation and the 3D mapping of basically a mountain that was covered with snow. And during the installation, I think it was like 8 minutes long, the snow started melting and you heard stones crashing and trees crashing down, and basically the installation was really almost religious. On the ground floor we had several large pieces of my installation paintings. There was always one photograph and one installation piece, one photograph, one installation piece, and the room was filled with these containers. Now, one piece was a photograph of a glacier, and the piece next to it basically was the remainders, what was under the glaciers. And these pieces are actually, a couple of these pieces are right now in my studio. And what was really amazing about this installation, the day after my opening, I visited the museum and I just put a sign at the door. Nobody could wear shoes inside, and I saw a school class sitting silently in that room between the pieces, looking right, looking left, and analyzing the content of the show. The main part in the museum, we had an installation of an ice block, and then the whole of the museum basically was a blue-black installation of glacier covers and melting glaciers. Now, again, what is very, very interesting about this project is the process. Everything that I do takes a very, very long time, and it is basically the persistence and the continuation that brings these projects together. First we had a volume of 3 books, then we had the installation, and then we also now have a Steidl catalogue of my 3 first exhibitions. It is really remarkable when you work on something and when you keep working on something and when you're determined to succeed, that you can make things happen. And right now my career took on this incredible turn that I can start sharing in a way, in a visual way, with my photographs, with my artwork, with my installation, the work that I started many years ago as a photographer, or like I called myself, a chronist of time and of moments recorded. So this was the first episode in my studio here. I'm going to go back to work on new works that you will see in the near future, and I'll talk tomorrow on the next episode in my studio. I see you tomorrow. All the best and continue working hard. Bye-bye, Michel.